Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It's Thursday afternoon here in the Eastern time zone of the USA. It's time for the Manufacturer Showcase, brought to you by DX Engineering. And today we have a special guest, just like every Thursday we do. And this is John, N7JDM. John is the General Manager at Chameleon Antennas. Welcome, John.
Hello, how are you doing, everyone?
So, John, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Chameleon Antennas, the company.
Okay. Well, I've been a ham for about 18 years now, general class at the moment, and got into it after moving out here to the desert, and discovered that when cell phones didn't work out in the desert, that ham radio did. And really started piquing my interest in that. So that's how I got started into ham radio. Got involved in the club locally here, the local club, and it just kind of took off from there. So that's pretty much it. I've been living here in the Sparks area for about 20 years now.
Okay, and so tell us about the company.
So got started in 2008. The owner was based out of another state, and was basically building antennas out of his house to get started, and they became popular, and slowly built up a business into what we've got now. So we're struggling to keep up with orders right now. So it's a good problem to have at the moment. So we're happy. We outgrew the house, and now we have a facility here in Sparks, and we're still crowded, but that's okay.
So how long have you been with Chameleon, John?
About 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been about 4 years.
Now that's great. And boy, just so many guys are so happy with your products, and we're very proud to sell the stuff you make. I mean, it flies off the shelves, and that's what you want. You want happy customers. And of course, to all of you that are listening today, if you have questions or you want to share your Chameleon story, by all means jump in and put it in the chat, and I'll make sure that John hears what's going on. But John, I think you might have a few things to show us, so show us some of your products.
So to start with, our MCOM 2 antenna that we've had almost since the beginning, probably our most popular antenna. This is a 60-foot end-fed wire antenna, and covers all the bands. Needs a tuner on most of the bands, but it's been very popular. I am in the Aries group out here in Washoe County, and this is really the first antenna that I go to if I have a place to put it up. And
right. So that's 60 feet long of wire.
Yep.
Does it require a ground?
It requires a counterpoise if the coax is real short. In many cases, if your coax is typically longer than about 25 feet, you can get by without a counterpoise. It never hurts to put a counterpoise on. It never hurts. So,
and what would the counterpoise look like, John?
It's just another piece of wire that would drop off the bottom of the antenna here.
All right. And how long would that be?
At least 25 feet long. Okay. Since it's a multi-band antenna, it's not going to be perfect really on any particular band. So, I mean, I tell people, roughly the same length as the 60-foot radiating wire. Just get it close, and it'll work fine.
Okay. So this works 80 meters to 10 meters. Is that right?
It'll do 160, and it'll do 6. Those are two at the extremes, and it still tunes up and it radiates. Would it be better if it was longer for 160? Sure. Not everybody has room for longer wire. Okay, and so 60 feet turned out to be the best compromise to get it to cover all the bands. So we've settled on that.
So tell me how bad the SWR is without a tuner on the various bands with that 60-foot wire. How bad is it?
It'll depend a little bit on how the antenna is erected, naturally. We test the units here before they leave with a load test, and they typically are never over 2.0 to 1. Up in the air, It could be as high as 3 to 1, maybe 3.5 to 1, depending on, again, how close it is to the ground. For an invis setup, it's going to be a little higher. If the antenna is erected at a higher level, it'll start to come down. Sometimes an internal tuner will match it, and sometimes it won't.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's helpful to know, what kind of an SWR we're dealing with, so that if I take a look at a particular rig and it says that, the SWR has got to be less than 3 to 1 for the tuner to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was going with that question.
Yeah.
John, do you have any comparisons that compare that installation to like a full-size dipole on 40 meters or 80 meters? What kind of performance can I expect?
Close. Obviously, a tuned dipole is pretty efficient if properly erected, so it's going to be difficult to beat that in many cases. Our company, if you look at our lineup, pretty much everything we have is a multi-band antenna, and obviously there are some compromises made to have one antenna that will cover many bands. So, but I have one of these erected over the EOC here in Washoe County at about 45 feet as a sloper, and during the last Skywarn thing, we made contacts in Japan with it on 100 watts. And so, obviously the propagation has something to do with it, but that worked. Okay. We ran some whisper modes and were heard on the other side of the planet. Okay. So the antenna can work. Obviously, it's dependent on propagation at the time.
Right. And John, let's tell our viewers what is the price? What's the street price for that?
Street price is $125.
That's really good.
Yep.
Yep. That is really good. So that's a very popular product, and thanks very much for reviewing everything, because I think guys really want to know what they're getting into.
Of course. Absolutely. And
for that $130, does it come with the wire or not?
Yeah, so the wire comes on a winder. It's as I said, it's a 60-foot wire. It's copper clad wire with a Teflon sheathing on it. It's good for high UV resistance and cold temperatures as well, so it won't crack in bad weather or in cold weather.
How much power will this antenna take?
So sideband phone, it'll do 500 watts, and it'll do about 250 on CW.
Okay, very good. What else do you have there, John, to show us?
Well, the next level up would be our hybrid series, and this is the hybrid mini right here. And this is a antenna that can be a wire antenna, or it can be a vertical using our mill whips. So it's becoming a bit more versatile now in that regard. So still has the same 500 and 250 watt ratings. The antenna can be hung much like the MCOM series can, or you can attach it to something from the base, our jaw mount, spike mount, or some other arrangement that you come up with. And we can sell this one with a 30, a 60, or 130 foot wire. So you got your choice in this case.
And what are we looking at price wise for that?
The two shorter wire links are $211, and the 130 foot wire is, I believe, $235.
Okay, very good. What else do you have, John?
F-loop, magnetic loop antenna here has been a very popular antenna for quite a long time, and these will do 10 through 80 meters with a 25 watt rating on sideband and 10 watts on CW to about a 3 foot diameter loop when it's assembled. We have the power compensator that you can attach to it, and that'll bring the power rating up to 60 watts on sideband and 30 on CW. And it's been it's a well-built antenna. It's sturdy and has been a good performer for us for a number of years now.
Oh, all right. Very good, John. We're on with John N7JDM. He's the general manager at Chameleon Antennas out in Nevada. And from Italy, he says, do you sell an antenna like well-known FD4 with 6-to-1 balun? I'm looking for a high power rating. Um,
Um,
any ideas, John?
I think he's asking about a Wellborn maybe or a Wellbrook. That's a receive antenna. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Our Skyloop antenna is a 265-foot horizontal loop antenna, and it'll handle 1,000 watts. So that would be our highest. Everything else we have is not going to be any higher than 500.
Okay. All right. So if you're looking for a kilowatt or 1,500 watts, that's not going to be the antenna. Let's
No.
see. Here's another question, John. Is there a Chameleon antenna that will work well with the new IC705 and fit nicely into the LC192 backpack with a battery and a few other accessories and not need a tuner? That's from Roger, NK1.
Probably our MCOM 3 portable antenna that I don't have one here to show you at the moment would be one to take a look at. That's a 100-watt antenna on sideband, so well within the can handle the 705, and that one is pretty compact. Everything winds up on one winder, including the matching unit, so it's pretty compact. And that would probably be the first one to take a look at. Any of our antennas can handle that radio. The decision point would be the tuner. We recommend a tuner for most all of our antennas, obviously because they're all multi-band.
Right.
But the portable gets the closest to not needing a tuner in any case.
Okay. And if you have questions for John, just put them over in the comment chat room there, and we'll make sure that we ask John. John, what else do you have to show us?
Well, we've got our MCOM 3 base unit, which is we just came online with. We changed up the canister a little bit to a box, a little bit easier to work with. This one comes with 130-foot wire, which makes it work a little better on the low bands than the shorter wire lengths, and has been a very good performer for us. And we have a few things in the works. Of course, we have our impasse vertical kit. I don't have room to show that one at the moment, but that's the one that's been so popular here of late. And we have a new version of it now called the Light, which uses a single telescoping whip instead of the two separate whips. It comes with a few less accessories. Also sells for a bit less money as well. So for those people who don't need the full Impasse 2.0 kit, then the 2.0 Lite would be one to take a look at.
All right. And what is the price of that unit there?
So the Impasse 2.0, the full kit's $550, and the 2.0 Lite sells for $299.
Okay. Very good. And Aaron asked, do you have an antenna for in the house attic?
So, yeah, probably the MCOM 2 with a single 60-foot wire would fit in most attics, depending on how big the attic is. Those are obviously can be a challenging installation due to interference from electrical wires and ducting and such. But a lot of people use the MCOM 2 in that case because they've got room to put 60 feet of wire in the attic. It depends on how big the house is, of course. So, but that would be the first one I would suggest to someone that has to put one in the attic.
Okay, that's good. If you have a question for John, just put it over in the chat room. What else do you have to show us, John?
That about covers the antennas at the moment. I can spitball here a little bit maybe and talk about something. We try to do very good customer service here, so I answer a lot of emails and catch a few phone calls here and there. So I am happy to talk to people that have questions, or if they're having an issue getting the antenna up and working. We're pretty successful at getting it figured out. A lot of times it's a situation of taking the user guide, throwing it aside, and putting the antenna up first. That's pretty common. So we see that a lot, actually. So once you get the guide out and say, oh, it goes like this, then it clears it up. But it's still good to talk to people and make sure they've got it all figured out. So pretty happy about that.
Guys and girls are investing lots of money in their stations.
Sure.
And they want them to work. And of course, everybody wants to get on the air quick.
Yep.
And get in on the fun. So sometimes, the instruction manual does get set to the side. John, what do you think? What do you think about the future? What sort of products are you working on that we might see introduced here from Chameleon in the next year or so?
Mm-hmm. So probably continue working on the vertical antenna project. I think we'll see some more variations on that. We've worked on a couple more very lightweight portable antennas that are particularly lightweight, and that's for the soda people and that sort of thing. We'd like to shave some weight off of a couple of the antennas that we have now, so we'll probably see some new variations there. With the advent of some of the digital modes, we see some overheating of the transformers in some of our antennas, and so we're looking into ways to address that issue so that people can push a bit more power through the antennas. So that's another thing that we're looking at right now. So we want to address that. We realize how popular FT8 is right now, and some of the other modes that are similar to that, and it can strain some antennas and the radios as well. So
and the amplifiers
and the amps. Yep. I've heard the stories already. So I tell people that they have a 100-watt radio, so they try to push 100 watts through FT8, and they say, I'm not getting any decodes. I said, bring the power down instead of up. And
Right.
They most frequently say, oh, it works great at 20 watts. And, so, I mean, I get if you've got the power and you can put out a clean signal at 500 watts, then by all means, you can do that. But most people are running 100-watt radios that are not happy to push that much continuous power out, and so when we turn the heat down a little bit, they start getting their decodes. So it's pretty fun.
So we have another question.
Hear back. Yeah.
We have another question for you, John. It's Jamie Lee. She says, I need an antenna. Where I live, it's an apartment complex. I'm getting ready to move next year, so I can have less interference. I haven't been able to put together anything yet. What about apartment dwellers? What's the best antenna that you've got for that?
Yeah, the F-Loop 2.0 to be specific, probably the best. It's literally an arm's length antenna. Okay, since it's manually tuned, it's going to be sitting essentially right next to your operating position, and can sit on a tabletop. You can attach it to a tripod, some other stand if you've got it, and you can sit right there in your living room or bedroom or wherever and operate. Obviously, an antenna inside the structure is not as good as outside, but as I tell people, I said, move to the country and get 25 acres, and then you can do what you want. Okay, until that time, an antenna like the F-Loop is a good choice.
And we have another question for you, John. We're on with John N7JDM from Chameleon Antennas. And if you have any other questions, put them in the chat. Chuck says, our club EOC is trying to set up a reliable HF system to the state EOC, which is about 80 miles away, 40 meters, maybe 80 meters, depending on the time of the day. What is the suitable Chameleon product for this application?
Yeah, probably either the MCOM 2 or the MCOM 3 base unit. If you've got room to work with 130 feet of wire, probably in an invis type situation, I would take a look at that. And one of those two antennas should do the job for you. I would think that would be it.
Great. Jamie Lee said, how much does that loop cost for the apartment dweller?
Two versions of the F-Loop 2.0. The basic unit has two coax runs that will allow you, depending on how you configure it, to do 10 through 40, or you can do 10 through 80, or 80 and 40 and below, I should say, with the second loop installed. The total version adds a larger diameter loop to help the middle bands perform a little bit better. So the cost is $399 or $450, depending on which model.
Okay, Very good, John. And of course, you can find out more information about Chameleon antennas on the dxengineering.com website. And while we're on the subject of websites, if you want to see which manufacturers we've already interviewed and we have YouTube videos for, because we record these, you can see our schedule of events and also who is upcoming. And in fact, next Thursday, Mastrant, the rope guy, will be here. And so looking forward to Thursday. But the schedule of all of our social media events is up on our blog, the DX Engineering blog, which is onallbands.com. And on that blog, you're going to find interesting articles written by various blog writers about antennas, about grounding, about assembling your station, about having more fun with ham radio. So check out onallbands.com, and you can go to the news and events, and there you will see our social media schedule. And John, I want to thank you very much for coming on today with us. This has been very enjoyable. I know I learned a lot more about your products, and like I said, we're very, very happy to represent you and to sell your products, and we wish you continued success.
I appreciate it very much. I thank you for the opportunity to get on here. It was a lot of fun. Thank you much.
And a good friend of DX Engineering, Dino, KL0S, says, what's the height threshold where a down ground wire becomes ineffective and no longer useful?
That's actually a pretty good question. I think there's a few variables involved there, but I might have to get back to him. You can toss us an email at support@chameleonantenna.com, and we can talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. support@chameleonantennas.com. And thanks very much again, John. And we wish you a good Thursday. And when this pandemic gets over, we'll come out and see you. How about that?
That sounds great. I'd love to see you here.
All right. Thanks again, John. And thanks to all of you for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow for the weekend special. That's at 4 o'clock Eastern time, 20 Zulu, for the weekend special. And we're going to be talking about the top band, 160 meters. That's what the subject is tomorrow. So see you tomorrow afternoon. For now, 73 from DX Engineering.